For today's video, we'll be taking a look at a budget-friendly PC case by Lian Li, the Vector V100. First announced at Computex 2025 back in May this year, the V100 is available in black or white and is targeted at folks who'd like to get a quality fish tank style PC case without breaking the bank. Let's see if it's any good. Let's start first with the packaging. The Vector V100 comes in a run-of-the-mill brown cardboard box with your usual product illustrations and descriptions on all sides. As can be seen on the screen, the Vector V100 comes with a single box of accessories as well as an instruction manual. Within the box of accessories, we get a thank you note. And this is accompanied by a whole bunch of screws, cable ties, rubber grommets for 3.5-inch hard disk mounting purposes, spare friction clips for the side panels of the case, as well as the necessary hardware for the GPU support bracket that comes included with the case. Something about the manual that's really common nowadays, and is a good thing, we get illustrations on how best to do cable management with this case. While the illustrations aren't the most complicated, seeing as cable management with this case isn't rocket science anyway, it's still something that I'd appreciate. Here it is, the Lian Li Vector V100 unboxed. For this review, Lian Li sent over the white variant of the V100 that doesn't come with any pre-installed fans, and is also known as the V100W. The case features a traditional mid-tower ATX layout with a chamber at the bottom for your power supply and a storage drive, and is made of a combination of steel and plastic and two tempered glass panels. This is a fish tank style case after all, and it hence comes with a front and side tempered glass panel that pretty much serves up an unobstructed view of your PC hardware components. The left side panel features an interesting gradient design with a plastic bottom border featuring some aesthetic grooves for good measure, as well as an illuminated ARGB lighting strip that runs along the said border on the inside of the case. We'll take a closer look at this ARGB LED strip later in this review. In my opinion, this gradient aesthetic certainly lends the V100 a unique look that helps it stand out from amongst the competition. As you might have surmised, the front panel connectors of the case are located on the left side panel, right below the lower edge of the tempered glass side panel. We get two USB 3.0 Type A ports, a USB 3.1 Gen 2 Type C port, a 3.5mm microphone and headphone combo jack, a reset button, as well as a power button. Do note that the case does not come with a hard disk activity indicator light. The other side panel of the V100 is a simple steel panel with ventilation openings right above where the side intake fan openings would be, and I guess it's no coincidence that the ventilation openings seem to form the shape of the alphabet L, which is a nice aesthetic touch. The top panel of the case is basically one huge ventilation opening for the cooling hardware that you'd be installing up top, be it fans or an AIO radiator, where it comes with an integrated dust filter. Over on the bottom panel of the V100, we get ventilation openings for the power supply unit's cooling fan, where Lian Li has also included a removable dust filter. As can be seen, the case comes with 4 plastic feet with foam-like inserts. The rear of the case is a pretty standard affair. We get lots of ventilation openings, and the expansion slot covers are of the reusable variety, which is always a plus point for more budget-oriented PC case offerings. Another plus point, the expansion slot covers actually use thumb screws instead of normal screws, which is great to see. With that, let's get the panels off the Vector V100. Lian Li's gone with a toolless design for all the panels, which is fantastic, and they can all be pried off very easily from the chassis with just a wee bit of elbow grease, and you'll first have to remove the tempered glass side panel, followed by the front tempered glass side panel, and then thereafter the side steel panel, and finally the top panel. As mentioned earlier, we get a dust filter with the top panel, where it's the sort that's integrated into the panel and can't be removed. The dust filter of the power supply unit's cooling fan, on the other hand, slides in and out of place easily, like so. On a side note, if you're new to the ALK Tech channel, do consider subscribing so as to keep up to date with the latest releases in the PC hardware world. With that, onto the interior of the V100, starting first with cooling features. You have the option of purchasing the Vector V100 with or without pre-installed fans, where the variant that comes with 3 pre-installed side intake fans and 1 pre-installed rear exhaust fan is called the V100R, and is also available in both black and white. Now, in terms of cooling hardware support, the side panel of the case has ventilation openings that support up to 3 120mm fans. Do note that due to space constraints, you won't be able to mount a 360mm radiator on the side panel. Over on the top panel, we get support for either 2 140mm case fans, 3 120mm case fans, or up to a 360mm AIO radiator. 280mm AIO radiators are also supported on the top panel. Finally, over on the rear, the Vector V100 comes with a single ventilation opening that supports either a 140mm fan or a 120mm case fan. In terms of physical dimensions, the Vector V100 has pretty average dimensions for a mid-tower ATX PC case, with its dimensions as stated on the screen. For you folks intending to use an air cooler for your processor, do note that the case supports CPU coolers of heights no more than 178mm according to the spec sheet for the V100. For your graphics card, the case supports horizontal GPU mounting only. It comes with support for graphics cards with length of up to 420mm. We've also got a GPU support bracket that can be mounted on the motherboard tray and is comprised of the following pieces of hardware that you can see on the screen, where you'll have to install your motherboard first and thereafter use the included bracket posts in lieu of the motherboard screws in these areas. With that done, secure the GPU bracket rails to the posts, install the bracket like so, and you're good to go. It's worth mentioning that when installing the GPU support bracket, due to spatial clearance issues, I wasn't able to secure the GPU bracket tightly to the mounting rail, as the motherboard, an ASUS ROG Strix Z790A Gaming Wi-Fi 2 that I used to do a demo build with this case, had M.2 heatsinks where the GPU bracket rail would be installed. As can be seen on the screen, the screw pokes out of the GPU bracket rail, where as a result, it gets into contact with the M.2 heatsink beneath where the GPU rail would be. Due to this, I wasn't able to use the GPU support bracket for my demo build, and I wound up installing a third-party GPU support stand instead. Just something for you folks to take note of if you're intending to use the included GPU support bracket and if your motherboard has a whole bunch of M.2 heatsinks where the support bracket rail would be. Onto the motherboard tray. The Vector V100 comes with support for motherboards with rear connectors, so motherboards from say ASUS's BTF lineup, Gigabyte's Project Stealth series, or MSI's Project Zero lineup will be compatible with this case. In terms of power supply dimensions, Lian Li indicates that the Vector V100 has 220mm of length clearance for a power supply, which is mounted in the bottom chamber of the PC case. Finally, one interesting feature that the Vector V100 comes with is a platform right here that allows you to display a figurine of your choice. I guess this plays into the trend of blind box figurines, so if you have a coveted Labubu that you'd like to showcase for instance, you can place it on this display platform in the V100. You'll have to remove this plastic cover first, that's held in place by a single screw. For those of you intending to install 2.5-inch and 3.5-inch drives for your PC build with the V100, Lian Li has included a drive bracket on the rear of the motherboard tray that supports a single 2.5-inch SSD. And this is accompanied by a drive mount in the bottom chamber of the case for a single 3.5-inch hard drive. The front panel connectors of the case are a pretty straightforward affair, where we get the usual front panel USB 3.0 Type A connector, a USB 3.1 Gen 2 Type C connector, a front panel audio connector, as well as a 9-pin front panel connector for the power button and reset button. I appreciate the fact that Lian Li has opted to use a 9-pin connector rather than standalone connectors, which can be more fiddly to hook up to their respective header pins on the motherboard. As mentioned earlier, the case comes with an illuminated ARGB strip along the edge of the bottom panel, and we've got the corresponding 5V ARGB connector like so. With that, let's do a demo build with the Vector V100. Getting an ATX motherboard, an ASUS ROG Strix Z790A Gaming Wi-Fi 2 into the case was pretty easy, where the motherboard standoffs are already pre-installed on the motherboard tray, and we get ample space for maneuvering things around. Installing the power supply unit was a cinch too. Just make sure that you've got a PSU that's no more than 220mm in length and you're all good. For this demo build, I'll be installing Lian Li's new Uni Fan CL Wireless 120mm case fans, which I guess are a great accessory with the Vector V100, in that the Uni Fan CL Wireless 120s are Lian Li's budget-friendly offerings in their case fan lineup, and still feature support for Lian Li's L Wireless ecosystem and the L Connect 3 app. We get subtle ARGB LED strips along the edges of the fan frame, which is a nice touch. We'll see them in action later in this review. The Uni Fan CLs also feature the Uni Fan interlocking system, where you'll first have to activate these plastic fan buckles, and thereafter position the fans accordingly before snapping them into place like so. Getting the fans installed was pretty straightforward too, and I've got 3 reverse blade Uni Fan CL Wireless 120s for the side intake, 3 normal blades on the top panel, 2 reverse blades for the bottom intake, as well as a single normal blade for the rear exhaust. The graphics card for this demo builds a Gigabyte GeForce RTX 4090 Aero OC 24G, where it measures in at 342mm by 150mm by 75mm, and it fits really easily into the case. Moving things along, and with the demo build nearly completed, it's a good time to talk about cable management. The Vector V100 comes with all the expected openings in the right places for cable management purposes, where we get large openings on the motherboard tray and on the bottom panel of the case. Over on the rear, it's great to see that Lian Li's also included plastic clips along one of the edges of the V100 to further help with cable routing. Now, I didn't do much cable management for this demo build, but I still think it looks pretty decent, all things considered. And with that, here's a completed demo build with the Lian Li Vector V100 in white. In terms of thermal performance, I did a quick performance benchmark with the Vector V100's demo build, where you can see the specs of the said build on the screen. With F123's in-game benchmark, where I ran a 5-lap test for around 9 minutes in total, the Core i5-14600K processor in the demo build achieved an average CPU package temperature of around 59 degrees Celsius, while the RTX 4090 Aero OC 24G achieved an average GPU temperature of 69.7 degrees Celsius and an average GPU hotspot temperature of 80.8 degrees Celsius. These results were achieved in a non-air-conditioned room with a temperature of around 31.5 degrees Celsius. A pretty decent set of results, I must say, considering that the demo build was tested in a pretty warm, non-air-conditioned room. On a side note, I left the fan curves on their stock settings without any tweaks. Your thermal performance will vary, especially if you'll be using different hardware from the demo build in this review. To sum up, I think that the Lian Li Vector V100 delivers on its value proposition as a budget-friendly fish tank style PC case. Now, despite its more affordable price tag, it still manages to deliver on the build quality and features that one would come to expect from a Lian Li PC case. Fit and finish is good. I really like the aesthetic of the V100, especially with the gradient design and the integrated ARGB LED strip, and thermal performance is decent as well. Perhaps the only minor niggle that I have with this case is the included GPU support bracket, where I wasn't really able to use it in my demo build due to spatial restrictions brought about by the choice of motherboard that was used. In terms of pricing, the Vector V100 has a MSRP of around $55 for both the black or white variants without any pre-installed fans. For the variant with 4 pre-installed fans, also known as the V100R, it has a MSRP of around $75, which is pretty good value. With that, thanks so much for watching, hit the like button and get subscribed if you've enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys around the next time.